inFAMOUS hit me at a time in my life where my mental health was at an all-time low. I won't go into the why, because that's not what this video is for, and you don't need to know the funny internet person that well. Just know that it was the closest I ever came to not being here anymore. You don't have to stay for some big, grandiose reason or limp platitudes about having so much to live for. You can just stay because you want to see everything a game has to show you, and maybe that lasts long enough to help you find better footing. So while I know, believe me I do, that inFAMOUS is far from perfect, and I absolutely have my own criticisms for it, it holds a very special place in my heart, and is the entire reason that I think lightning-based superpowers are awesome. Released in 2007, it was created by SuckerPunch Productions, most recently known for Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yōtei, starting life as a much more comic booky superhero production that seemed more in line with their work on Sly Cooper. Thanks to a series of tweets on the 10th anniversary of the game's release, we were given a peek into what that early game looked like. For instance, it was almost revealed at E3 in 2007 under the name True Hero. Cole could switch between his superhero outfit and civilian clothing at phone booths, and there was almost an element of city management where you could customize buildings to make people happier. Speaking of Cole, before his name was decided, the team nicknamed him Gearwolf of all things, and briefly experimented with the idea of character customization that would have allowed him to have different hair and outfits. His powers used to include throwing metal objects and using magnetism to return them to his hand like a boomerang, and the team also experimented with his traversal of the city, testing out motorcycle stunts and a hoverboard. I'm kind of glad neither of these made it in, because it feels just goofy enough to clash with the grim tone they ended up settling on, whereas zipping along rail lines and wires feels more consistent. Am I still bad at aiming with a controller? Yes. Did I still have a lot of fun revisiting the game? Absolutely. Did I need to do an evil run after the heroic one, just for the catharsis of obliterating everything after the citizens all but jumped in the way of my powers every time I got into a fight during my attempts to be the good guy? Yes. You see, inFAMOUS was known for a few things, but chief among them being its karma system. Through the game you make moral choices, often delivered through an inner monologue of Cole's that can sometimes come across as letting the intrusive thoughts win, because that's what an intrusive thought usually is, something horrible you don't want to actually do. Not getting frosted tips, Jeremy. It's just wild now and then to hear Cole say something completely reasonable to himself is a good option, and then idly wonder if he shouldn't just do something sociopathic instead, as if it's just as valid an option. This is very jarring in large part because you can't really mix and match your choices based on what you're feeling in the moment. The powers you get are based on your karma rank, so the more good you do, the higher your good karma, and the more evil you do, the higher your evil karma. And yes, I know that karma doesn't necessarily work like this, it's the term the game uses. Point is, if you want access to your most powerful skills, you have to lock in from the first choice to the last. And as much as I love this game, that is one of my biggest issues with it, the lack of nuance in the player's choices. Most of them anyway. There are some where you can argue in favor of the evil options, and we will get into some of the, interesting implications of what the mechanics mark as evil. One more thing of note is that while you play, civilians will occasionally run up to you with a problem, either to point to someone who needs healing, or a crime in progress such as robbery and kidnapping. These are like unmarked dynamic events. They're not official tasks or denoted in any way, other than you getting a point of interest button prompt to look in the direction that the civilian is trying to get you to go. Whether you realize what it's pointing to or not is another matter entirely, but I believe this system is what became the little dynamic karma moments we got in the sequel, where muggings and people who need medical aid were clearly marked on the map, and I appreciated making that connection on this most recent playthrough. With that said, let's get into it, shall we? Thank you to everyone for helping me reach this milestone. It means so much to me that y'all are down for these shenanigans. You may have noticed that I've updated my icon and banner with a channel mascot I've been putting together in the background. Do I have a name for her? Let's go with Lusa. This art was done by my friend Mia, whose info can be found down below. Check her out. And now on with the video. If you enjoy this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and drop a comment telling me your experience with the game. Our journey begins on a quiet morning in Empire City, the sun barely starting to rise, people walking to and from work, all oblivious to the chaos that is about to engulf them with the press of a button. Before waking up in the shoes of Cole McGrath, we hear a gravelly male voice take note of his pulse and respiration. But when he wakes up, he's alone and surrounded by a burning crater, ringed by shattered buildings, burst pipes, and demolished vehicles, with him at the dead center. Directed towards a nearby bridge, Cole limps his ravaged body along the only safe path out. He is hurt, confused, and doesn't remember what happened, remarking to his friend Zeke that he thinks there was an explosion. Yeah, I'd say that's an accurate assumption. Zeke tells him to get to the Neon District, where he, Cole, and Trish, Cole's girlfriend, will bunker down together until the situation blows over. For right now, however, Cole has to survive walking through a crumbling parking garage.
What the hell? Should be dead.
So yeah, that's not normal. Neither is that.
Over here, man! We gotta go! No!
So you'll never guess, now due to the chaos of what's happening in this game's story taking place just about 8 years after 9/11, the characters assume that the explosion is some kind of terrorist attack. Superheroes aren't a thing that exists in this setting either, so while I'm sure some people would absolutely see electricity arcing off Cole in this moment and realize that it is coming from him, that's just not something most people will instinctively accept as truth, even if they see it with their own eyes, because nothing like that has ever happened before. Nonetheless, Cole sprints across the bridge and collapses on the other side, the last thing he hears being Trish's voice calling his name, and the game switches to a stylized cutscene.
While sliding into unconsciousness, I could somehow, hear the voices of the dying. Thousands crushed by falling buildings or burned alive in the fires. Trish lost her sister, almost lost me. Zeke was always there, somehow sure that I'd wake up, while outside the city fell apart. A plague struck, followed by rioting, theft, rapes, civilization committing suicide. In a bullshit attempt to contain the biological threat, the federal government locked down all access in and out of the city, and we're stuck in this cage with the psychos. Cops are all but gone off the streets, either dead or too chicken shit to stand against the gangs that control things now. Outside, things were bad. But inside me, something was beginning. Scary as hell at first. Gotta understand, there was no one to talk to, no experts to consult. But with time, I'm learning to control it, master it. Just hope it's not too late.
Now, I love these. The art style is gritty and evocative of darker superhero comics, and while on one hand I know this was likely done because the in-game engine just wouldn't have been able to convey the information with the same level of tone and fidelity, I do kind of prefer them to the in-game cutscenes we got in the sequel. The sequel looks better, it is more detailed, and the characters can actually express emotions with their faces, and that's good, that's cool. I do like a lot of the story beats and character interactions in Infamous 2. However, I think it lost something by not having as many of these comic book style cutscenes, not to mention the actual art style of them changing as well. Anyway, Empire City, which is just fictionalized New York because it's in the exact same spot, has been locked down. There's some kind of plague running rampant and the government doesn't want it spreading, but with no support plan in place, it isn't until day 14 of the quarantine that a single food drop appears. Do you all remember how quickly supermarkets emptied when Miss Rona disrupted things and panic buying surged? Now imagine that, but you're in a coastal city where the only way in or out is a single bridge connecting it to the mainland, which has been closed for 2 weeks. Crime is running rampant, cops aren't bothering to do anything about it, there's a plague scaring everyone, most major supermarkets rely on daily resupply to stay stocked. This is not good. Having spent most of this time experimenting with his new powers, Cole is now able to purposefully direct electricity at a given target, like the makeshift batteries Zeke has scattered around his little rooftop fortress so they can watch TV. On one hand, this setup never made sense to me because I just kept wondering what happens when it rains. Wouldn't that short out the electronics? Wouldn't the sofa get all gross and moldy? Why would you be on the roof all the time when the TV broadcasts make it clear that it's getting cold out? On the other hand, this means that the devs don't have to finagle Cole inside a building just to chat with his friend. I can only imagine how the camera would have handled that. Getting the TV working and frying some of the mannequins for target practice, a cargo plane roars overhead, shaking everything on the roof due to how low it is. This precedes the arrival of a character known as the TV Jacker, or the Voice of Survival, a young man broadcasting from the old TV station in the historic district where we started. His messages have a distinct anti-government sentiment, and early on a lot of his broadcasts focus on giving people helpful advice on how to survive the quarantine, how to stay warm, and how to help each other, both of which are pretty understandable considering the abysmal situation Empire City has been left in. Along with his broadcasts, we also have a chance of seeing an official news channel give a very curated version of what is happening in the city, and by curated I mean straight up lies and propaganda about how well things are being handled. For right now, the voice informs everyone listening that the government just dropped some food in Archer Square and to get there quick before the Reapers show up. While Zeke grumbles and takes the stairs, Cole takes the express elevator, by which I mean he jumps off the side of the building, because fall damage means nothing to him anymore. Now, I don't think that the mechanics of this are explicitly explained anywhere. I've always just kind of assumed that because his powers are electromagnetic in nature, that his body now has an internal sense of, like, gravitational inertia that just corrects itself before he impacts the ground. Not that it needed to be explained, but I've thought about this game way too much over the years. Before heading to Archer Square, Zeke diverts to pick up a new gun he traded for one of his shitty homemade batteries that explode when used. This is humorously glossed over at the time, but is only one of many signs that Zeke doesn't really mind hurting people if it benefits him. This diversion also neatly explains a serious drawback about Cole's powers. Zeke needs a new gun because when Cole touched the old one, the electricity in his hand set off the gunpowder, and he can't sit in a car without it exploding. He's gotten better at controlling it when it comes to focused attacks, but his body still passively gives off enough electricity that he can accidentally kill people by standing in the same puddle as them. So he can't touch anyone, can't sit in a car, and has to sponge bathe to stay clean because showers are a no-go. Isn't having superpowers fun? Reaching the car park where Zeke is supposed to get his new gun, he laments that the guy said he'd leave it under a car, but there's no way we'll find it given how many cars are here.
Hellacious! Hell, I didn't know you could do something like that.
Whoever owns that car is gonna be shit out of luck now, but at least our conman bro got his pistol. No evil karma here. Even if you only did one blast, the game needs to show you how to recharge Cole's batteries, so with his vision blurring and his energy depleted, he stumbles over to a power box and drains the electricity. Cole, having a source of electricity nearby, will become a point of pain later, but it's always been funny to me that even if he's empty, he can still fire his basic attack. This basic attack electrifies any metal object it hits, and if you hit it multiple times, the amount of power stored in that object increases, which you can then drain, so technically, you can just infinitely restore your own energy even in a dead zone. They did remove this exploit in the second game, which I was sad about, but understand completely, it did not make sense for Cole to be able to do that. Moving on. On the way to Archer, Cole is contacted by his girlfriend Trish. She's relieved there was a food drop and worries about Cole's safety, especially since her little sister Amy died in the blast, so she really doesn't want to lose Cole too. Making it to the drop, we find that the parachute got tangled up on the statue looming over the square, and being the only person who could survive a fall like that, Cole climbs up to get the food down. Not that he's fast enough to avoid the Reapers showing up.
That's when I caught my first sight. The Reapers. Before the blast, they were just a bunch of junkies dealing drugs. Now, they own the Neon District. Taking whatever they want. That changes today.
This is Cole's first real fight using his abilities, fending off the Reapers until they're either dead or incapacitated, and the game will take note of your performance, changing the difficulty accordingly. I changed it back to easy, because I remember how annoying this game can be, with jackasses on rooftops no-scoping you with AK-47 6 rooftops away. This is also the first time we're presented with a karma decision, and it's one of the few choices where the evil route is at least understandable. It still makes you a bad person, but it isn't kicking puppies for the sake of it. Do you let people get the crates open and take what they can, or do you scare everyone away to keep you, Zeke, and Trish stocked for weeks? Yes, it's kinder to let people get the food. Everyone is struggling and just trying to survive. But you don't know how long this is going to last. Is there going to be another drop? And if so, how soon? Can you wait that long? Can the people you care about most wait that long? But as I said earlier, you can't really mix and match based on what you think is the best option at the time. Either you're being good or you're being bad, so lock in. If we're being heroic, we just have to wait until they get the food open. Trish shows up and praises Cole for making sure people were fed. She's a doctor after all, it's her job to help people, and seeing Cole do what he can for others presumably makes it feel like one less thing for her to worry about in a situation where she and other emergency personnel are almost certainly being run ragged every day. Naturally, if we're being evil and scare people away either by letting off our powers near them or straight up hitting anyone, Trish is horrified. Cole tries to explain that he just wanted to make sure the three of them had food security, but Trish doesn't want to hear it, which I can hardly blame her for that. For his part, Zeke remarks that her actions were harsh, but it'll keep us in vittles for a while, so he'll get on with moving the food. As I said, he doesn't really care if people get hurt if it benefits him. Regardless, one of the big screens around the square is taken over by the voice of Survival, who paints a target on Cole's back by showing a picture of him holding a glowing sphere and blaming him for the blast.
Ever been called a terrorist? All I remember from that day is going to work and then running for my life. That video, though. How'd I get that package? Why would I deliver a bomb? For who? Regardless, the consequences are everywhere. Whatever there'd been between Trish and me was gone. She didn't say a word, no emotion, nothing, just walked away. By then, people nearby were starting to recognize me. It was gonna get ugly. Even Zeke was giving me weird looks. He and I made quick plans to meet up at Stampton Bridge. Try to get out of town. Just hope he shows. Because right now, I'm a little short on friends.
So life is going well. This is the first instance of your choices not having an immediate effect so much as a cumulative one, because it makes sense for Trish to walk away without a word, not even questioning it, if Cole just terrorized a bunch of innocent starving people out of the first food they've seen in days. It makes less sense for her to just accept it on its face if he just risked his life not only to protect those people, but also ensure they got to eat something. Do I understand why she walked away in the first place? Absolutely. Do I think there could have been more nuance to that moment depending on what you just did before? Also, yes. Since Cole does not want to get strung up like cheap Christmas lights, the next course of action is to break quarantine, naturally. This brings us to Stampton Bridge, where a nervous Zeke informs us that it's crawling with armed government goons in riot gear. A group of people are protesting the lockdown, and we're presented with the option of attacking the police on our own or from within the crowd to start a riot. This is a small detail, but the fact that you can start a riot by shooting a lightning bolt from within the crowd, as if the fucking electricity wouldn't make it extremely obvious who just did that, has always bugged me. The smarter, underhanded thing to do here would be Cole picking up a brick and throwing it like any self-respecting protester. But regardless of if you start a riot or attack alone, the people will still follow you for a chance at freedom.
Hey man, head for the quarantine station! It's our ticket out of here!
The gate opened to a wall of razor wire machine guns. Zeke made a break for it, smashed in the gate to the decontamination unit, and fell headlong into the harbor. And I moved, faster than I knew I could.
We're introduced to an FBI agent called Moya Jones, who knew about Cole's existence and waited for his escape attempt. She fills us in about a group called the First Sons, a secret society responsible for the creation of the Ray Sphere. This was the glowing orb Cole was pictured with, and its purpose was to drain neuroelectricity and concentrate it in a single person. This will be expanded upon in an X-Men mutant gene kind of direction in the following games, but for right now, this is what we understand about the Ray Sphere and conduits, people with powers. Agent Jones promises to clear Cole's name if he finds the Ray Sphere and her husband John White, who went undercover with the First Sons some time ago, and with no other option, Cole agrees.
I've got a lock on your GPS locator, and I can hear every word you say. Don't forget who's holding your leash, Cole. You find John and the Ray Sphere, and I get you out of there. No questions asked. But you double-cross me or do something stupid, and I will throw you into a hole so deep that you won't even know which way is up. Got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Cool! As we make our way back to Empire by way of the bridge underbelly, it's notable that there are Reapers breaking the water mains, which I'm sure will only result in good things. Thankfully, Cole still has Zeke, and he explains everything back at the rooftop. Zeke feels vindicated in his conspiracy theories because just this once he happens to be correct. At this point, the game starts laying the groundwork for various quests and tasks we'll be doing to take the city back from the gangs infesting it. One quest unlocks the dead drops scattered around the city, intel reports left behind by John regarding his infiltration of the First Sons. This drip feeds us more information about what's going on, including disturbing insights into how targeted this entire event was. The second main quest involves us helping clear local gang members from a medical clinic, allowing beleaguered EMTs to work unimpeded. Unlocking clinics means we can respawn there whenever we die. The final quest kicks off a major development in the state of the city and Cole's powers. Moya has us track down an informant of hers called Brandon Carey. We find his dead wife, and by essentially scanning her brain, we follow a bioelectric ghost or echo of Brandon, even though... Look, I know so much of this isn't strictly realistic, but there is at the very least a thread of consistency to Cole's powers. We're clearly following the electrical signature of Brandon, but if we got the information from his wife's neurology, i.e. we saw her last moments alive, how are we following him? This just always kind of bugged me, but whatever. We follow the Echo to an above-ground substation where a Reaper self-deletion expert takes out power to the entire district. This makes Cole feel like his skull is in a vice, and we're directed to one of the old substations in the sewers where Cole can complete the broken circuit and restore power one section at a time. The act of doing this also unlocks new powers for him. In this case, it's touch-based powers, such as being able to heal people, restrain them, or drain them to restore energy. Here's where that interesting moral value comes into play. When you defeat an enemy, you might not have killed them outright, and you'll often see them writhing on the ground, alive but incapacitated. If you hit them again, you get 1 XP for a wounded kill, and this is displayed as morally neutral with grey text. If you drain the life from them, you get 1 XP in red text for an evil action, even though you are doing the same thing. You could argue that draining their life is more barbaric, but is it really that much worse than sticking an electric grenade to a defeated enemy and watching them explode? Is kicking them to death less savage than draining them? If you restrain them, you get 1 XP in blue text for a live capture, and if you attack them after that point, you get another 1 XP in red text for an execution. Never mind that you took the extra step to pin them down and kill them while they were extra helpless. Nor that in many cases of live capture, you've simply restrained them to the ground where they're utterly at the mercy of the civilians they were just tormenting, and you run off. Well, they deserve it, maybe so. But when you label things as good actions and evil actions, you are making a value judgment in the game that inherently tells players what is good and what isn't. I.e., killing a helpless enemy is permissible if you do it with plausible deniability. I assume it's a neutral action because in the middle of a fight you can very easily catch already defeated enemies in your blast radius, and the team just didn't want to unnecessarily penalize the player with bad karma. I understand that. It's still interesting to look at. Tangent aside, it's time for another moral choice where Cole comes across as a latent sociopath. Do I tell this clearly distressed man that his wife is dead so that he has no reason to obey the Reapers, or do I just kill him and hope the door he's jammed shut magically opens like it's on a dead man's switch? Which it will, by the way, for no good goddamn reason. Anyways, telling Brandon about his wife lets us get on with the task of restoring power, and from here, the story will periodically send us into the sewers to unlock a new section of the city. I mean, you're not barred from entering the powered-down areas, it's just that there are a few places to recharge and there are trucks with machine guns everywhere. If you spend some time doing side quests, it'll make your life easier, not just by giving you XP to upgrade your powers, but also by reducing the amount of enemies you naturally encounter. The more a city borough is cleared, Zeke will contact you about things improving, people taking the boards off their windows, trash being cleaned up, less fear and suspicion in the air, at least if you're heroic. But while Zeke appreciates the good that comes out of it if he can benefit, his praise starts to sour into envy, remarking that he can't sell his exploding batteries if people don't need them anymore, that he isn't Cole's secretary after a woman asked him for Cole's autograph, and that nobody likes a show-off.
You know there's a Cole fan club now? I swear, people around here must have some free time.
Zeke's envy towards Cole becomes increasingly clear as the story goes on. It just feels particularly venomous here before they've experienced any major fallout with each other. I don't mind this as a character flaw. Zeke has a good arc from this game to the second, but I do think that it would help highlight the disparity between his fantasy of what things are like for Cole versus the reality of it if the brutality was cranked up. Morgan, what do you mean by that? Think about it. Cole heals from near death if you just hide for 5 to 10 seconds, and he heals instantly if you drain something. He is constantly getting shot, exploded, battered around, burned. Realistically speaking, his jacket should be in tatters. Blood-soaked tatters. As the days pass, his clothes should get more and more patchwork as he gives up on replacing them and just starts stitching together what he can. Even if you argue that we should only count some of the hits we take in gameplay as canon, if not none of them, there are sections where Cole runs a gunfire gauntlet and would have absolutely taken hits. I think even just having a little effect where he heals, where we see and hear the clink of bullets falling out of his body, would drive the point home that he is in fact getting shot and constantly healing from it. Point is, I think learning into how viscerally uncomfortable and disquieting it would be to have a strong healing factor would only add to the grim tone of the story. Let me paint a picture. A Reaper lunged into his peripheral and Cole couldn't finish turning. A shotgun unloaded in his gut, throwing him off his feet. Like hot wires through his flesh, pain radiated out of his belly in waves, and he threw out his right hand in a shockwave, launching his attacker across the road, where they smashed into the windshield of a parked car. Blood crept up his throat, and Cole clutched the perforated meat of his abdomen, crawling to his feet. No Reapers, no living ones anyway. He collapsed against a nearby car, draining its battery. He held in a scream as at least 8 pellets snaked out of his muscles and organs, his body sealing behind them once they dropped out shining and bloody onto the asphalt. He slammed his fist down on the car with a snarl, denting the roof. The Reapers mobilized around him, red hoods peppering windows and rooftops, bullets flying with intent to strike. Cole fired back in turn, struggling to keep his rage from building with every shot he took. His shirt was full of holes and stained. The waistband of his shorts felt sticky with sweat and blood, and it ran down his legs into his socks and sneakers. He almost slipped on the train because it started to collect under him. Moving on! We restore power to another section of the city and gain the grenade ability, a throwable bundle of volatile electricity that sticks to people and explodes moments later. The heroic version will eventually auto-restrain weakened targets, and the evil version splits into more and more clusters, maximizing destruction. During this venture, Zeke calls to talk about the gossip people are spreading over Cole and the Raysphere. We learn that the job itself paid terribly, but his manager George insisted that he had to move it immediately, and that it had to be Cole who took it. It was only when he got to the delivery point that someone called him and told him to open the package. And we know what happened next. As an aside, it's worth mentioning that each sewer section basically functions as an introduction to each power you unlock, set up in such a way that you leave with a decent grasp of it, which I appreciate, it's good design. The next time Moya contacts us, she explains that the Reapers isolated the city's water system so they could pump their plague into every home in the city. Oh yeah, the Reapers are the ones causing the plague outbreak, by the way, which is kind of funny because that's not what it actually is when we get to the second game, and it makes me wonder how far ahead the story was planned. Then again, Moya could be lying, that's always an option. Regardless, Moya sends us over to investigate a polluted fountain to see how bad it is. Hey, do you think that tastes like liquid blackjacks? But you know what else you find when there are lots of sick people who need tending to? Medical professionals!
What are you doing here?
Moya wanted me to see what's going on with the fountain.
Who's Moya?
Doesn't matter. Look, Trish. I know what that guy said about me.
My sister is dead because of you.
I swear I didn't know what was in that package.
I don't want to hear it. You want to help? Fine. You can start by closing that valve over there. It's jammed, and I can't turn it. That's how the black tar is getting into the fountain.
We turn the wheel and Cole finds himself on the receiving end of a tarkake directly to the eyes, sending him stumbling and barely able to see as he begins to hallucinate giant reapers and hears the voice of an unknown woman.
I've been watching you, Cole. Waiting for this moment. Anticipating it.
Who's doing this?
She hates you. Loathes you. Your power frightens her. She'll never love you. I can make you forget about her. Everything you share. Gone like a whisper. No more pain. No more heartache.
You are not real.
This way!
You're mine. Body and soul. We live together. Always.
Stop it. Get out.
This isn't possible. You're like him. Refusing to do as you're told. I will not be rejected again.
You can imagine how this hit me as a teenager, but now I have the maturity to understand that having someone fixated on you like Sasha isn't fun and is actually fucking terrifying. Trish sprays a solvent on Cole's face, coldly remarking that this is the only time she'll help him with it, and Moya sends us off to the park to deal with other water valves. This just results in Cole taking another trip because the plumbing infrastructure in Empire City is hot garbage.
Why do you love her? She's beneath you. You deserve better.
Oh, just shut up.
You're all alone now. No one cares about you. Not the girl. Not the Batman on the roof. Not the woman under the bridge. Only I love you. I've always loved you, Cole. Always and forever.
For God's sake, get out.
Look, lads, I don't know how many of you need to hear this, but if someone talks to you like this, run! Do not look back, do not try to just endure it because you're scared there's nothing better. There is, and they don't want you to believe that. You deserve better, you deserve to feel loved rather than owned. Do not let a misguided sense of masculinity convince you that you're just supposed to take it and get on with things. At the third valve, we get a karma moment where Cole contemplates turning it himself or forcing a nearby civilian to do it for him. Given his superpowers, he can survive it even if it sends him on a bad trip. You know what could have avoided this after the first time? Pulling your jacket over your head so your face is covered. Or even just, I don't know, turning your head away and holding your breath. I refuse to believe this man was studying engineering, but that's what you get for adding details about someone's life in a comic after the game comes out. Regardless, Moya sends us into the tunnel beneath the park to get rid of a truck the Reapers are using to pollute the local water system. Once it's gone, Moya informs us that the tar is an organic mind control agent, but she's unsure about the source, so Cole takes the opportunity to rest up at Zeke's rooftop. The next morning, Moya sends us to another substation and Cole unlocks Induction Grind, allowing him to slide along wires and train tracks. During this, Zeke calls about the voice of survival, expressing disappointment over the way he keeps trash-talking Cole and suggesting Cole give him a taste of the good stuff. Zeke, are you casually suggesting murder for talking shit because a taste of the good stuff in this scenario means getting hit with a lightning bolt? Also, you may be wondering why the world's most average man is able to climb buildings and navigate the sewers effectively, or maybe you didn't because it's a video game and who cares, but Cole does explain to Moya that he got into urban exploration years ago and knows these sewers well. A major turning point in Cole's public perception comes in the form of a rescue mission. Reapers are holding people prisoner on a train as collateral against their loved ones, and Moya believes John may be inside. Cole cannot drive a train, but he works like a living third rail, so just standing on the lead car is enough to get it moving. I don't think that's how trains work, but feel free to correct me. Cole runs an absolute gauntlet getting these people to safety, stopping and starting multiple times because of voltage issues along the line. This is one of those moments where we could have seen him in bloody tattered clothes because of the sheer level of attention on him by the Reapers. Either way, with Moya getting the word out ahead of time, those aforementioned loved ones are waiting at the station when Cole arrives, and depending on your karma, the scene plays out a little differently. When heroic, Cole thinks the people are hypocrites for wanting his head one day and cheering him on the next, but admits that it feels nice to be treated like a hero, at least for now. When evil, Cole considers them ungrateful for continuing to curse him out despite saving their loved ones, and consequently zaps one of the crowd members to show that he isn't to be crossed. So the path taken so far either puts serious strain on the idea of Cole as a terrorist, or it greatly reinforces it as Cole directly harms someone in front of dozens of witnesses. Sadly, despite our efforts, John is nowhere to be seen. After this mission, the trains become active and provide a fast way of traveling around the map, though this does make them a hazard when you're sliding along the tracks because they are just fast enough to catch up and hit you.
Rumors keep coming in that the terrorists freed a bunch of folks the Reapers had locked up. Listen, there's no doubt those people were saved, but it burns my ass to see the terrorists taking credit for it. Here's the truth. The people trapped on the L were rescued by a group of concerned citizens. Citizens have decided they weren't going to put up with this crap any longer, that it was time to fight back. They're the real heroes, not some psycho that blew up half the city. Remember that.
News today of a daring raid that freed several hundred prisoners from the clutches of the Reaper street gang. A small group of commandos dropped into Empire City and stormed a train that the Reapers were using as a makeshift prison. After a brief firefight, the prisoners were freed and the remaining Reaper gang members were taken into custody. This is but the latest step in the government's aggressive effort to restore order in Empire City.
What am I, chopped liver? Our next mission entails dealing with more of that black water tar crap. Trish is there and suspicious of Cole's presence, asking why he isn't stopping this, berating him as if it's his fault this isn't fixed. If you're playing heroically, I get that this burns, but if you're being evil, she isn't wrong to blame you. You'll see in a minute. Heading up to the rooftops, we find that there are Reapers attaching kegs of tar to the water towers. We can remove them two ways, safely for us, or safely for the people living in that building. Either we blast the keg apart with a shockwave, spraying ourselves with the tar in the process, or we overcharge the pump, which dumps all of it into the water supply until the keg drops off. And here's the thing, you can cling to the edge of the water tower to try and keep Cole safe, but the game will refuse to let you destroy the keg from anywhere but the blast zone. And I once again feel like there had to be a safer way to do this. Like, is the keg attached with a clamp? Did they weld it on there? Can't we just fry the wires so it stops working altogether? No? It's heroic stupid or stupidly evil? Okay. Regardless of our choice, once Cole is done with the last keg, he's confronted by a mysterious figure in white.
She's gonna be pretty pissed about this.
Who the hell are you?
Just a concerned citizen. Now hold still.
He leaped toward me, his icy fingers digging into my head. For a moment there was nothing, and then he started to show me things. Horrible things. Beyond description. And in that split second, I understood he was showing me the future. Death and destruction on an unimaginable scale. As he released me, I knew that he was responsible for all of it. That he had opened Pandora's box, and it wasn't ever gonna close, and that damn ray sphere was somehow involved. And then he was gone.
One of the things I love about this interaction is that saying she's going to be pissed about this makes sense regardless of what you did. He could be talking about Moya, he could be talking about Trish, he could be talking about Sasha. Take your pick. Returning to the rooftop, Zeke informs us that Moya isn't just FBI, but big secret projects at the Pentagon and working with DARPA kind of FBI, impressing on Cole that he's in danger, as if Cole didn't already know that, and didn't get much of a choice in cooperating with her. But Zeke wants to feel involved, and like he's also doing something important, something that will come back to bite everyone in the ass later.
Didn't we already have this conversation?
I know, you got caught pissing in the wind. But think about this for a second. Now, if that thing dishes out superpowers, what's to stop old Uncle Sam from juicing up the entire military, or the cops? We'd have no defense against that.
He's not wrong, but he is annoying, and that's the greater sin. We head to the last substation of the Neon, and Cole unlocks his sniping ability, a long-range, focused precision shot that slows down time so you can aim it better. In theory. While we're down here, Moya informs us that the leader of the Reapers is a woman called Sasha, a former member of the First Sons who led much of their research. Moya can't say for sure that Sasha knows where John is, focusing on the much more practical fact that dealing with Sasha would make cleaning up the plague situation easier.
Some people talking on the street, saying how you're this big hero, that kind of thing. One gal said you look different, that you've got some kind of aura of goodness surrounding you.
You know I don't care about that kind of stuff.
I know. But listen, keep it up. The chicks dig it, and I can use that to my advantage. I'll catch you later.
Stop it. Get some help.
Upon emerging from the sewers, Trish calls Cole to guilt him into protecting a shipment of medical supplies, and watching the Reapers fully shoot their guns at a metal crate to destroy it got a decent laugh out of me, like they're sending people with rocket launchers and machine guns mounted on trucks. This is overkill. Despite their best efforts, the supplies are protected, and Trish at least thanks us for doing this. Our next task is dealing with Sasha as Moya points us to the Jefferson Tunnel connecting the Neon and the Warren. What gave it away? The fact that it's completely blocked off and looks like a Reaper fortress? Heading inside, Sasha speaks to us in our head, calling us Kessler, and swinging from outraged to cryptic to obsessive and back again. She's clearly mistaking us for someone else, even though Cole has never met this woman. Again, this kind of person would be terrifying in real life, but Sasha is the main reason I often went with an Evil Karma playthrough when I was younger. Now I'm more concerned with how exactly any of this got built in the space of 2 weeks. Like, look at this shit. What is going on here? We're able to free some of the civilians who were being forcibly turned into Reapers, and I feel like this moment could have been its own little karma choice because most of them aren't Reapers yet, but there are a couple who clearly are. They're wearing the clothes and they're coughing up the tar, but if you open their cages they don't attack you, and kind of aimlessly shuffle around, sticking to their cells for the most part, like they don't know what to do. You don't get XP for freeing them as a hostage, and while your karma meter flashes red, you aren't given any XP, neutral or otherwise, for killing them. It just stood out to me. Moving deeper into the tunnel, we drop down into what has to be part of the sewer system at this point, and finally meet the woman behind the creepy voice.
Darling, what took you? Was there traffic? I told you not to take the bridge. It's always backed up at night. Get dressed. We have dinner plans tonight. Of course I told you. Silly.
This is fine. Throughout this fight, Sasha continually says cryptic or unhinged bullshit, and at first getting physical as she tries to overpower Cole and shove her tentacles down his throat. Whenever we weaken her, we have to engage in another physical tussle where Cole wrenches off one of the pipes connected to her jacket, and it's all very questionable. Sasha has made her interest in Cole very clear despite him rebuffing every attempt at luring him in, and he never verbally reciprocates her affection. In the evil route, he silently just does her bidding. Content creators say SA because we all live under capitalism and have bills to pay, which gets harder if platforms unfairly demonetize you for using the actual words. But I think we're far enough in the video to get away with it, let's hope. Sexual assault isn't rape. It is specifically any kind of unwanted sexual or romantic contact. Forcibly kissing a stranger at a streaming convention falls under that. So does grabbing at their body or rubbing up against them when they don't want you to. It can turn into rape if it goes that far, but those are two distinct terms that I and others have been guilty of using loosely or worse, interchangeably. What's my point here? This is assault. Cole has made his disinterest very clear. At no point is it acknowledged or given space, and Cole doesn't really react to or recognize it as such. After all, it's not like she really hurt him. She didn't do the worst she could have done to him. He defeats her in the end, and then she's at his mercy, so it's all kind of swept aside by the inertia of the story. Sasha definitely comes across as this evil temptress archetype, which is only reinforced by playing the evil route, as the karma side quests have you working with the Reapers and helping her to convert people, and several moments have additional fawning or positive input from her in that case, including the final boss fight. She stands in stark contrast to Trish, who has a very good reason to be hostile towards Cole at this time, and feels engineered to have the player let their dick lead them places they wouldn't go with a gun. I don't know, the violation aspect of it feels kind of glossed over because Cole is a man and we can just dismiss Sasha as a crazy bitch who can't actually hurt him like that, which is wrong. Moving on, we defeat Sasha and she lets off some odd remark about powers ruining your mind and body that I frankly don't believe at face value. I think the writers just made her like that, but that isn't all that happens.
Sasha was a piece of shit before the blast. But looking at her now, is this what my powers are gonna do to me? A warped body and twisted mind? Is that my future? Either way, she knows all about the First Sons and their ray sphere. If I'm gonna dig myself out of this hole, it starts with her talking right now. They came fast. Smoke everywhere. Sasha got pulled out. Whoever they were pros, trained for this kind of thing. There was no time to think. Water was pouring in and the place was falling apart. With no way back, I went forward, into the slums of the Warren.
Well, shit. We have officially progressed to the next borough, the Warrens, where the city's poor and homeless population congregate. Rather than Reapers, we're hounded by trash-bag-wearing brutes called the Dustmen, an army made up of the city's homeless population. You might wonder why the city had a large enough homeless population that they could take over a district when armed, but they also engage in slavery and murder innocent civilians, so they're bad and need to die. Don't think about it any deeper than that. Never mind that all the Reapers we've killed were people mind-controlled by Sasha's tar, so they had no choice in the matter. It's fine. Don't feel bad. Our lightning is blue, which means we're the good guy. I say this jokingly, but I do genuinely think that there is something to analyze in the concept of making a disposable enemy group the player can blow away without remorse. Homeless people. I do think it's feasible that a charismatic enough leader could convince homeless people to band together and take over a district in a situation where the city has become a cage. Do I think being treated as invisible at best and unsightly vermin with no right to life at worst might foster some truly vicious levels of anger and hatred in someone that they could turn into a monster once they gain the upper hand? Yes. My issue is not with it being unbelievable or unrealistic or whatever, it's more the choice made by real-world human beings to depict the homeless as faceless, inhuman monsters just waiting for an excuse. And I don't think that the writers at SuckerPunch were thinking that at the time. It's rarely a case of someone twirling their mustache, looking directly at the camera and going, "Now I will be shitty to the homeless because I hate them." No, that's not really how that works. It's much more unconscious than that. I'm just saying that this, as a narrative decision, is something that can be picked apart. Which kind of ties into the karma XP situation we talked about earlier, because you could assume that the game considers killing an incapacitated foe as evil because the Reapers are mind-controlled and the Dustmen are homeless people driven by desperation. But there's a final enemy group that is comprised of highly trained soldiers who fully believe in their cause and have been knowingly working towards this for years, and it is still evil to kill them when they're down. The implication being that the negative karma is about knowingly killing a helpless enemy in and of itself, rather than tied to the circumstances of the person you are killing. So killing someone who has no control is exactly as evil as killing someone with full autonomy. Am I thinking too much about the implications of gameplay mechanics? Probably. Anyway, there's no power in the Warren, so we immediately head to the nearest substations and unlock static thrusters, allowing us to glide and fall with style. Moya informs us about the Dustmen, specifically that she suspects they're being led by a powerful conduit, same as the Reapers were. With the power back on in this section, Zeke calls to help us track down a man called Dwight so that he can fuck the guy's sister who is looking for him. Did I need to be that blunt? No, but even after finding out Dwight was mauled to death by something, Zeke still urges us to find the culprit so he can use finding the murderer to his advantage in fucking the soon-to-be grieving woman. I would appreciate that Cole tells him there's something deeply wrong with him, but he does nothing else to call Zeke out for how utterly gross this is, or dissuade him from following through. He's even sympathetic to Zeke later when it, tragically, doesn't work out the way he wanted.
So, Dwight's sister just took off. Man, it was a disaster.
What? I thought you were golden.
Wanted to treat her right, you know? Show her a good time, let things simmer a bit. Any old idiot can land a one-nighter. I wanted something more. Like what you and Trish had. Well, anyway, she comes over and says she can only stay a minute or two and starts talking about, I don't know how she really digs me, but she sees me as a friend. I'll always be your friend, Zeke. She actually said that to me.
Oh, man.
Yeah, women are something else. Never will understand them. So I was walking over to help Trish load up her bus, and I see Dwight's sister hanging on some guy's arm. She didn't even look at me.
Sorry, man.
I should have known better. She's always been like that.
This woman has no name or personality beyond being Dwight's sister and the female that Zeke wants to wet his dick with. A girl not wanting to fuck you but being into or involved with someone else isn't because women are capricious, mysterious creatures with unknowable wants and motives. She just wasn't into you specifically. And just because a woman was friendly or polite doesn't mean she was into you or stringing you along. It just means most women are scared of how men react to a flat-out no.
The superhero racket is great, man. Solving crimes, getting some loving from the ladies. I'd get used to living like this.
You're not actually a superhero, Zeke.
Well, hell, I know that. But it doesn't change the fact that I've had a taste of the good life.
Having these powers isn't exactly a walk in the park.
Are you crazy? People around here, they worship you, man.
A fat lot of good it's done me.
Oh, crap. I gotta go. Dwight's sister is hot and ready to go, if you know what I mean.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
And do not hear me say something that I'm not by commenting, not all men. You know Zeke is being weird. I know Zeke is being weird. We just had a discussion about men not recognizing sexual assault when it happens to them. You know exactly what I'm saying. Don't be willfully stupid. Now, I will say, of the enemies we face, the Dustmen are the most annoying, if only because of the fucking crabs that can pop out in clusters and pester you. You know what makes them really easy to deal with? Doing the evil karma missions and getting arc lightning, but no! I decided to be heroic. Ugh. Trish calls us to help with getting medical supplies from the Bayview Hospital in the Warren. To do that, we need to lower the Stone Canal drawbridge, and to do that, we need to rescue an old friend of her family, a city engineer called Roger Miller. The Dustmen have been kidnapping any engineers, construction workers, and mechanics that they can get their hands on, and forcing them to work on the giant tower they've built in the old park. We keep Roger safe while he and his friend fix the bridge, allowing people to come and go freely, and this later allows Trish to head over with a reinforced bus to check out the Bayview. For now, we head over to the next substation and unlock the Megawatt Hammer, our rocket attack. The evil version is similar to the cluster grenade in that smaller rockets are added, but the heroic version allows you to turn it into an artillery strike by redirecting it mid-air. I would often use this by firing into the sky and then use a precision shot to send them hurtling towards an enemy. Very fun. Once out, Moya tells us that the Dustmen are planning a quarantine break and there are unmanned drones flying over the Warren. She also tells us to stop Zeke from calling her. How the hell he got her personal number is wild, but he's been trying to play hero and track down leads, and he's been pestering the scary DARPA FBI agent to do it because his need to feel important outweighs any and all risks to his or others' safety. We stop the Dustmen from using civilians as human shields to break quarantine, disabling their boats before they can leave, because it doesn't matter if there are civilians on board, all forces holding the quarantine have a shoot-on-sight order.
There's blood on my hands, Moya, but I really don't see what this has to do with our deal.
If I can't maintain control of this situation, I will be replaced. They'll bomb the island and you'll be a fugitive. No deal, no nothing. You understand?
Yeah, sure.
Good. Don't ever
In the middle of tracking down these boats, Cole calls Trish to ask how things are at the hospital, and she tells him that she wants to talk about what happens once this is all over. Positive signs! In dealing with the spy drones, we zap them out of the sky and recover the data drives from Moya to decrypt, revealing that the First Sons are searching for the Ray Sphere. While doing this, Kessler gives us a call.
I want you to listen to something, Cole.
Please. No more. I'll do anything you want.
Real tough guy, aren't you?
On the contrary, I'm weak. Quite weak, in fact. Which is why you need to learn this lesson and learn it well. Everyone has their breaking point. You, me, even dear, sweet Sasha. What separates the strong from the weak is the ability to take the beating. Hell, to love the beating. No matter how great the pain, never wavering from what needs to be done. Think you can remember that?
Screw you.
Cool! We upload all the data collected from the flight recorders and leave Moya to sift through it all. And now it's time to rescue Zeke from his own stupidity! The mission Alden strikes is another one of those moments where Cole's clothes should have been reduced to blood-soaked tatters. You see, Zeke got himself captured by the Dustmen and their leader, Alden, forcing Cole to run through a deadly maze of environmental hazards and ambushes involving Molotov's grenades, rocket launchers, and machine gun emplacements. Moya contacts us because she can see where Cole is at any given time and urges him to leave Zeke behind, but Cole refuses, insisting he doesn't abandon his friends. Oof. Fighting through an obscene amount of bullshit, Cole eventually climbs the crane holding Zeke's cage and lowers him to the ground, his immediate response being to quip about how close that was after all the people Cole just had to kill to reach him, and the innocent civilian killed with a rocket launcher to give Cole a fake-out scare about his best friend.
What the hell were you doing down here?
I was just trying to help out, man. I wanted to sneak in and see what the trash baggers were up to.
Are you insane? You're lucky they didn't kill you.
What are you saying? That old Zeke needs to go back to his roof and just chill? That he's only good for a laugh and a beer, but when it's go time, he ain't worth a damn? That what you're saying, Cole?
This isn't a game, Zeke. Not anymore.
But just because you got powers doesn't make you better than everyone else. Not by a long shot.
Yes, Zeke, let's ignore that Cole can survive getting hit with a rocket launcher and you can't. He does at least call Cole later to apologize for being a tool and says that he's going to help out the cops over at the prison because while he might hate cops, he considers the ones still trying to protect and serve to be the real deal. Trish calls for her help in moving a bus of medical gear from the Neon to the Warren, as the Reapers are blocking the roads, and on the way over to her, Kessler calls again to berate Cole for supposedly parading around like a peacock and deliver more cryptic advice.
Get pathetic.
That's real tough talk from a guy who tortures people.
You still don't get it, do you? You don't get any second chances. Every time you fail, someone's world ends. Ends in the worst way imaginable. I learned that the hard way. And by God, you're gonna learn it too. One way or another.
We help Trish by protecting the bus from Reapers, then Dustmen, provided with a non-stop source of electricity with a wire mesh hooked up to a generator on the roof of the vehicle. You would think that would make defending it easy as piss if we have infinite energy. You would be surprised. Regardless, we reach the hospital just in time for Moya to inform us that she has an ID on the Dustmen's leader.
Cole, I have the results from the photo analysis. It's Alden Tate, the son of Richard Tate. You paying attention? I've got a lot of ground to cover, and this is important.
I was transfixed. Moya kept talking while I watched this man, this old, grizzled man, lift a bus with his mind. I'm strong, but nowhere near that powerful. Alden was born to the leader of the First Sons. As a powerful mentalist, he was groomed from an early age to assume control. That is until Kessler showed up. Alden disappeared into the streets, growing up scared and homeless. But there's no fear in those eyes now. No, the blast has made him powerful, gave him the tools to combat his paranoia. With a flick of his wrist, he threw the bus on top of the hospital, sending a message to anyone that would challenge him. With Trish still inside that thing, I had to act fast. Not that I could do anything to Alden. He was already gone.
Racing up the building, we kill the Dustmen threatening Trish, and if you've been heroic up to this point, she tearfully tells him that all she could think about was how things stand between them, how she knows he didn't mean to kill her sister, and that she needs to stop being angry at him, and that she knows he's been trying to make things right. She wants to be with him again. Of course, if you've been evil up to now, when Cole says that he doesn't know what he'd do without her, Trish rightfully berates him, saying if he actually cared about her, he wouldn't be actively making things worse, hurting innocent people, undoing every bit of good she's managed to do in this mess. But the worst part of it all is that he didn't need to be this way. He could have chosen to do good with his powers and didn't. She then tells him to stay away from her. The next morning, a heroic Cole accepts Moya's next task without a word, set on helping the city get back to some semblance of normalcy. He's also telepathically berated by Sasha like this.
I can't leave you, Cole. Running back into her arms. She's not a lover. Like me. Think of the things I could do. I am pleasure.
Damn, she really said, "I will bounce on it crazy style." Oh, I need an adult. Evil Cole responds to Moya's directive with an agitated demand to get him the hell out of there, which she rebuffs because they still haven't found the sphere or John. The telepathic message from Sasha is much more cloying, promising that she would never abandon Cole, which he has no reaction to because even in the evil route, Cole still cares about Trish. Now, there's some weirdness to the narrative here because you can help the police arrest Alden, and then the mission I'm about to do makes more sense, but doing the mission terror bus first just makes the armed homeless people look even more cartoonishly evil.
Damn, those maniacs have outfitted city buses with automatic weapons. They're shooting everyone in sight.
We deal with the buses and head over to help the police with Alden, only for the mission to bug out on me for the first time I can remember. A quick self-termination solved the issue when we follow Alden's bioelectric echo from the body of the policeman who tried to take him on alone. Brave. That was a choice. While tracking him, we come across a man in danger of being murdered because he apparently stole food, free him for good points, walk away for evil. Following Alden's echo through the shantytown the Dustmen built over the old park, we don't find him, but we do find a metal construct of theirs called a golem, controlled by a conduit floating inside. Once it's defeated, we're informed that the police managed to capture Alden. I'm sorry? How? Whatever. Naturally, our next task is to help keep him in custody so Moya can send a team to retrieve him. So we head over to the prison to find Zeke was true to his word. He's helping the cops keep the prison in order, and is specifically tasked with helping them keep an eye on Alden inside. Alden is being kept unconscious by what sounds like electricity being forced through his body, which, one, how did they figure out that wouldn't kill him? And two, this sounds like active torture, but you know, good guys. We defend the prison from heavy assault by the Dustmen using their golems to launch boulders of burning scrap, busting down the outer walls and flooding the yard with gun-toting enemies. At one point the power cuts out and Cole has to climb up the ruined building to get it back on, dropping to a different yard to continue defending the prison. You may be wondering how this all goes to hell. Zeke leaves his post to play hero in the battle, brushing off Cole's alarmed reaction as nothing to worry about. Then we hear screaming over the radio.
By the time I got inside, it was too late. The place was slick with gore. Poor bastards never got any backup. If Zeke kept his post, they'd be alive now. And Alden would still be in a cage. Not sure Zeke's ever gonna forgive himself for this. Don't know that he should.
The following day, Cole lets Moya know what happened, and she is not happy, telling him to cut Zeke loose before he completely fucks them over. Cole gruffly comments that he's gonna make a run on the next substation, which gives us the Polarity Wall, an electromagnetic shield ability that can be upgraded to convert kinetic energy, like bullets, into power for us. Neat. On the way over, Trish calls about Zeke being really broken up about something, and Cole explains what happened, telling her that Zeke should stay put at the hospital where he can't do anything else. If you're evil, she assumes you did something to him. Once we get out the sewers, we get on with—
Cole, my name is John White. We need to talk.
You know, people we've never met getting our number would have made a great segue into an anti-data broker sponsorship of some kind. Anyway, John, the man we've been looking for this entire time, wants to talk. When we inform Moya, she remarks that she only heard static, and she urges us to be careful with John as being undercover for so long may have made him paranoid. Arriving at the location, we don't see John, but we're not alone as he requested. There's a chopper claiming to be his extraction team, which spooks John into running, and our only option is to chase after it, eventually finding it and John back where he first contacted us. A Dustman golem knocks the chopper out of the sky and somehow gets a hold of its unexploded fuel tank for this seemingly split-second karma moment where Cole has to decide between exploding the tank to damage the golem, but kill all the incapacitated civilians that are conveniently littered under its feet, or just stand there like a lemon and take the hit. If you do wait long enough for the tank to get yeeted at you, those civilians all immediately get to their feet and run. Everyone in this goddamn city has the self-preservation instincts of a fucking tumbleweed. John disappears again and calls us, telling us to shut up and listen because if he talks for too long, the people looking for him will find him. He wants to find the Ray Sphere and destroy it, and he wants Cole to help him, informing us that one of his UAVs, his drones, spotted it at the top of Alden's tower. We'll need someone to help us get it. Cole then asks him a very important question.
1 minute 52 seconds.
What do you want me to tell Moya?
Who the hell's Moya?
Of course she's been lying this whole time, why not? With no one else he can turn to, Cole contacts Zeke for help, and knowing Moya listens to his phone, he insists Zeke just come to the location so Cole can explain in person. Surely this time Zeke won't fuck something up. Foreshadowing is a narrative device where, at the base of the junk tower, Cole informs Zeke what they're up to, that the Ray Sphere responsible for getting them all into this situation is at the top, and if they get it, there's a chance of things finally getting better. Zeke is all for it, chatting to Cole on the way up about John and Moya, who he can trust, whether it's worth it to turn the sphere over to either of them, and how little things have actually changed for Cole because he's still an errand boy even with his powers. Of course, Zeke is still convinced that once they both have powers, no one will bother them. Reaching the top, we find Alden waiting for us, leading to a fight that ends with Zeke getting caught between a raging Alden and a newly arrived Kessler, two very powerful, dangerous conduits, and he's holding the very item they both want.
You dare mention my father! I'll kill you, all of you! Tear you from limb to limb!
Zeke, get out of here! Run! Zeke yanked the Ray Sphere out of its cradle and was caught between Alden and Kessler. It was definitely time to escape, but he just stood there, petrified. You see, through the fear, he realized that the key to his dreams, the tool to make him superpowered, was right between his hands. Asshole makes the choice to kill thousands, stealing their lives so that he'll be transformed, and then nothing. Everyone's fine. No change at all. Kessler's first to grasp the situation. Claims to know what's wrong. If Zeke brings him the Ray Sphere, Kessler will be able to give Zeke the powers he craves. My best friend looks me in the eye and then makes his second mistake. Alden goes ballistic at the loss of the sphere. The tower shakes and it starts to rip apart. But I was just dumbfounded. Barely felt the impact.
I told you to pick someone you could trust.
Listen here, you little shit! Chasing after Alden, we navigate the foggiest bridge known to man and fight him in his Gundam constructed out of junk. His junkdom, if you will. Not that it gains us much beyond taking a piece off the board as Alden yeets himself into the harbour once we've beaten him and Cole enters the historic district, bereft of allies since he's certainly not going to endanger Trish by asking for her help. The historic district is where we started the game, and it's where Kessler is situated with his highly trained and well-equipped first sons crawling all over it. John sends us to lower the 19th Street drawbridge to open up the flow of people through the city and give us an escape route if need be. This is when Kessler makes his move, contacting Cole with an ultimatum. Disarm the bombs around the district, or Trish dies.
Cole!
Bastard.
I've engaged the timer on the first bomb. You don't have much time.
Each time you save the civilians Kessler has captured, he has something to say, focusing in on Cole's motivation.
5 people now. 5 people that will see another sunrise. But I wonder, did you save them because it was the right thing to do? Or because you're trying to protect Trish?
It's one thing for the villain to insist that you'll thank them for this one day. Villains who believe that they're doing the right thing in the long run can justify a great many evil, but then he says something especially cryptic.
It's amazing the things you forget. The smell of someone. The way their eyes light up when they're happy. Those are the things to cherish, Cole.
We run to the last bomb, only to find that there isn't one, and Kessler presents us with his final challenge.
And it comes down to this, your final test. From one roof hangs Trish, the love of your life. From the other, 6 doctors. Think of all the good they'll be able to do, the thousands of lives they'll save. Which is more important, Cole? The life of one, or the lives of many? Bombs are attached to each platform. You have time to save one, but not both. Choose. I wish there was some other way, that Trish didn't have to die. She's such a special woman. But in times of war, crisis, one must learn to ignore their feelings and do what benefits the whole, not the individual.
Please get us down!
No matter how painful.
Time slowed down as Trish fell. All my powers, and I couldn't do a thing. For a second, she sprung to life, just long enough to say that she was proud of me for what I'd become. Proud that I was helping people with my powers, and that she loved me for it. I buried her in the park alongside others who died since the blast. Kessler's gonna pay for this. I'm gonna find that sick bastard, and I'm gonna kill him.
Now, it doesn't matter which one you choose. Trish always dies. If you go to rescue her, it's a decoy and she's with the doctors. You may wonder, how does that work? That must mean Kessler already knows what Cole is going to do. And you're right. He does. The morning after, Cole dismisses John's attempts at condolences, and John admits that he wasn't going to risk himself to save one person, despite telling Cole earlier that he'd be there when Cole needs him. At this point, all Cole wants is to find the sphere and kill Kessler, and John is his only lead to do that, so they keep working together. The first point of order is restoring power to the rest of the historic district, which brings about Cole's ultimate ability, his lightning storm, a powerful, thunderous torrent of energy that destroys everything in its path. It's at this point in the story that you can catch the Voice of Survival's final broadcast, where he's interrupted by gunmen entering the studio, and he begs for his life, his last words being, "I did what you said." So all of those smears against Cole were under orders from someone, presumably Kessler, and now he has no further need of him. So for some reason, Kessler has been laser-focused on Cole, on teaching him cruel lessons and forcing him to deal with the repercussions, and we even learn from one of John's dead drops that he picked Cole out by name to deliver the Ray Sphere. He chose Cole for this. Restoring power were sent to stop the spread of a toxin Kessler refined from Sasha's tar. Exposure to it turns people feral and aggressive, and if you're heroic, Sasha taunts Cole, saying she could have stopped them from hurting him if he had chosen her, which is very funny because if you're evil, she can't, and she apologizes to Cole. From here, we ride along on a platform hanging from a chopper, seeking out signal jammers for Cole to destroy so John can get a lock on the sphere's position. Both Moya and Zeke try to get through to Cole while this is all happening, and Cole shuts down both of them, outright threatening Zeke the one time he actually responds to Zeke's non-apologies. Why do I call them non-apologies? Because he spends most of his time self-pitying, lamenting that nothing went how he thought it would go, and that's just the story of his life, a woe is me, to the man whose girlfriend he inadvertently helped kill.
Cole, come on, man, I know you're there. Please pick up.
Whiny. It's also during this mission that John asks Cole what his plan is for after all this is over, because the government is not going to just let someone like Cole walk free. And I'm not sure what he really expected Cole to do about that: fight the entire US military, go into hiding for the rest of his natural life as the most wanted man on the planet. Bro, I am supremely fucked. There is no obscene amount of bullshit I can fight through to get me out of this mess. Cole gets some rest by sleeping next to Trish's grave and heads out to get the sphere with John, and since he told Moya to go fuck herself, the city is now being bombed by military jets in preparation for a ground invasion. The First Sons have flat cannons on the rooftops, and everything is going just great. Getting rid of the anti-air, John flies over the building where the First Sons are holding the ray sphere and drops a fentanyl bomb on it. Fentanyl may be more commonly known now, but at least in the United States, the DoD investigated using it as an incapacitation agent back in the 90s. They were never able to clear the margin of safety to greenlight using it that way, as the difference between the dosage that will incapacitate and the one that will kill someone was not large enough. This is cool, I guess, but also, all the First Sons wear gas masks. No, not even gas masks, because they all seem to have tanks on their backs. They're all wearing a self-contained breathing apparatus. This is one dip in the ocean away from wearing a scuba setup. Not that it even does anything, because the First Sons have already hauled ass in a truck. We chase them down an extraordinarily long pier, and John joins us as we finally get our hands on the sphere, which is when we're given our final choice. Destroy the sphere, or use it again. After all, it already worked for Cole before, and if you do use it again, it gives him a power boost, but it also turns his lightning black with a red glow and permanently locks him at the evil end of the karma scale, even if you were heroic. But no matter what you do, the outcome for John is the same.
Trish's crumpled body flashes through my head. I think of Amy, Zeke, and I hit that sphere with everything I've got. But something goes wrong. The ray sphere cracks open, creating a vortex of energy. John's pulled in, and it tears him apart. And I run. John and the ray sphere are gone, reduced to ashes. Nothing went according to plan, but at least the ray sphere is out of the picture.
If you do use the sphere again, Kessler commends Cole for doing it because power at any cost is necessary for what he has to face, but evil Cole seems more interested in the fact that Kessler is challenging his dominion over the city, and he's going to make sure no one stands in his way. Of course, heroic Cole has a very different response.
Well, I'm not like you. It took me a while, but I finally realized that this isn't about me, about what I want. Not anymore. It's about keeping this city safe. And once you're dead, no one will ever threaten it again.
And while that's an admirable sentiment, he's unfortunately wrong in saying that it isn't about him. It's always been about him. Meeting Kessler in the place this all began, Cole realizes that it was his voice we heard at the very beginning, making sure Cole's vitals were stable, and Kessler venomously growls that he's been with Cole every step of his life. The fight is the most difficult Cole has faced, with Kessler unleashing blasts of pale, golden lightning, flash-stepping, letting off blast waves, summoning drones that launch grenades at us, and it almost feels like a hopeless fight when Kessler grabs Cole and overpowers him easily, only for Zeke to rush in, shooting at Kessler to distract him and telling Cole to run, once again trying to play hero but out of guilt this time, which definitely makes up for everything. Naturally, Kessler has no issue throwing Zeke out of the crater and Cole gets back to his feet. Also, I'm sorry, but Zeke should be dead from this throw. He's not a conduit. Trish died falling from a building. You're telling me that exerting enough force to throw Zeke that far didn't kill him? Okay. Throughout the remainder of the fight, Kessler taunts Cole with cryptic warnings about what's to come being much worse than him, and personal details Kessler shouldn't know unless he's been stalking Cole or worse. He tells him that Cole's father carried a picture of Trish in his wallet, considering her the daughter he never had. That Cole's mother is ashamed of him and tells everyone he's a teacher because no one respects a bike courier. After a lot of struggle, Cole finally gains the upper hand and uppercuts Kessler, hitting him with a lightning strike. It's over. He's won. But Kessler has one last revelation to share.
I looked down at Kessler, reveling in my victory, and then I heard him whisper, "Trish, I love you. Please forgive me." Then he was on me, fingers digging into my face. As Kessler's secrets played out in my head, I finally began to understand. I saw his nemesis, a beast intent on extinguishing all life. In those early days, Kessler could have used his powers to stop it, but instead he fled with his family, leaving others to fend for themselves. Hunted for years, Kessler and his family watched as the rest of the world went to hell. And then it was too late. Too late to fight. Too late to save anyone. In that moment of failure and grief, he used his newest and most dangerous power. He went on a one-way trip back in time, attempting to rewrite history. Kessler seized control of the First Sons and accelerated the Ray Sphere's development. Decades spent plotting the blast, organizing the quarantine, finding me. Yet the thing that drove him forward, Kessler's sole link to the past, was a picture from his wedding day, when he married Trish, with Zeke as his best man. My brain lurched, unable to accept that Kessler and I were the same person. That he'd come back in time to mold me into the savior he failed to be, going so far as to kill the woman he loved, I loved, so that I wouldn't be tied down by emotions. No, Kessler wanted me strong, ruthless, so that when I faced the beast, I'd be capable of making impossible decisions, all for the common good. And then Kessler fell back, dead. His final message, my final message, burned into my brain. I take one last look down at myself, my future self, and turn away, the rage curdling inside. I hate everything about Kessler, but when the time comes, I will be ready.
When I tell you that final cutscene hit me like a sledgehammer to the dome, oh my god. Like, yes, you could try to pick apart Kessler's logic, but I don't think any of what he did was fundamentally driven by logic. It was fueled by a maddening, soul-scouring level of guilt, and that corrosive, hypocritical sort of hatred that we only ever reserve for ourselves. Kessler and Sasha were in an ill-fated relationship. That was why Sasha, already not all there, struggled to tell the difference between him and Cole. That was why Kessler knew those intimate details about Cole's parents. That was why he knew exactly what choice Cole would make when it came to saving Trish or the doctors. It's one of those stories where you go through it again to see what you pick up on, now that you know, and all the cryptic remarks begin to make sense. inFAMOUS is an incredible game, and while I don't expect another entry in this series, I would be over the moon if we got an HD remaster or better yet a remake, but for right now, I can enjoy it as is. Have I thought about what a prospective new game would look like? Perhaps. Did I, at one point, figure out a protagonist with Poison Ivy-esque powers who wears a wooden mask that gets creepier or friendlier depending on your karma? Maybe so. Please hire me, I will give you at least one good idea. But to be serious for a moment, I cannot really put into words the overflow of nostalgia, relief, and gratitude that rose up in me when I reached this point in my recording and heard this song in context again. As I said at the beginning, this game hit me during a very low point in my life, and everything from the fun of the gameplay to the cool powers and the writing worked to sink its hooks into me, and it made me want to stay. No matter my criticisms, no matter my frustrations, no matter how much shit I give Zeke as a character, this game was my anchor when I needed it. So to SuckerPunch Productions, everyone who worked to bring this game to life through iteration after iteration, thank you. You did more than create a great game. You saved someone's life, and now I get to make a video about it. It doesn't matter how seemingly trivial the reason is. If it keeps you here, it matters. You matter. So find your reason.
Please strike get closer to the light. Let me go under the water till I can breathe right.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below for the algorithm gods. Special shout out to my YouTube members and patrons who are all very handsome people. If you'd also like to be called a very handsome people, you can support what I do here or check out the link in the description. Members and tip jar patrons get their name in the credits, while patrons of the nerd tier will occasionally get behind the scenes content and video teasers. If you enjoy live streaming, I can be found over on Twitch, where I typically stream every Wednesday at 8 PM British time. But for now, don't forget to drink your water, take your medication, be kind to yourselves, and I will see you all next time.